Tic Tac, what's good, bro?
Yes, what is up, everybody, and welcome to episode 23 of the J&J Dating Dynamics podcast, Andrew Tate's favorite new podcast. We are here. I am Jay. This guy over here, well, the one on the far left, right, is Jay, and the other one is longtime listener Ronnie. Welcome to the channel, gentlemen. How we doing?
Day one listener.
Day one listener, Ronnie in the house. Justin, how you doing, buddy?
Not too bad, man. Everything's good. How about yourself?
Can't complain, man. Can't complain. Been a good week. So today, here on Andrew Tate's favorite new podcast, we are going to be talking about relationship sabotage. Now, most of the time, I'm the one that picks a topic and Justin just kicks it back to me. But today, I'm kicking it back to Justin. Justin, what are we talking about?
So today we're talking about relationship sabotage and making assumptions within a relationship.
Very interesting. Very interesting. So
Hey,
what
you
brought up?
silencing your phone? Could you silence your phone?
I did.
That's
That was
show up.
my computer.
That wasn't my phone.
Oh, all right.
Computer, just random noises.
So relationship sabotage. We're going to talk about basically people who are so traumatized and damaged that they have certain tendencies that could cause detrimental damage to a relationship. And I have a couple key points, and I have a bunch of videos that I want to go over and kind of get your guys' opinions on the matter. Have you guys ever been in a situation where you felt like you've encountered somebody that's like sabotaging a relationship?
Not off the top of my head, honestly. I've had some of the behaviors that we're going to talk about. I have seen exhibited in relationships, but at the time, I never really equated it with she's trying to sabotage this relationship.
Yeah, maybe not the relationship, but definitely sometimes like the night or the day or like whatever it is you're going through, the argument or discussion.
I will say, back in my younger days, back in high school, early days of college, I think a lot of guys, we probably did this thing where we would want to break up with a girl, but we didn't want to be the one breaking up, and we would do all these things to make her break up with us.
True.
I don't think it's that overt that we're going to talk about here today. But before we start, Ronnie, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself first?
Real quick, Topher just made a good point. Going to the club excessively.
No, that was never a thing for me though. I never really was too fond of the club. But
yeah, Ronnie, introduce yourself.
Well, my name is Ronnie Dio, Justin's best friend. We're like 30 years now almost.
Yeah, we're that old.
You know, New York City steam fitter.
I thought I was your best friend, Justin. What the fuck?
No. I'm OG, original.
You're one of my closest Miami friends.
Oh, I'll take it.
But yeah, I mean, pretty much.
Yeah, Ronnie's my best friend. Like he said, we've been best friends 30 years.
Ronnie, let me get you to sit a little closer to the camera right where Justin is, because you're kind of out of focus.
Sorry.
Ronnie's been in his relationship how long now?
7, almost 8 years now.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And I was a guy who was never in a relationship. Like, I didn't do relationships when I was in high school. I always felt like they ended. So, like, it was that puppy love stage. And I just never really wanted to go through all those motions. I wanted to wait. And I don't know if I was right or wrong, but I was, this is definitely my longest relationship.
And how old are you, Ronnie?
36.
36. So you probably started this relationship about 28?
Yeah, about that.
Okay. All right, good stuff. All right, Justin, take us through it, man. What's going on? How do people sabotage relationships? Or let me ask you this one first. Who's more apt to sabotage a relationship, men or women?
That could go both ways, but at the current moment, I guess I could only talk about my experience. And if we have any females listening and you guys want to chime in, go ahead. But this is coming from my perspective and females sabotaging things.
Sure.
And this is coming from me being at a place that I am ready to commit to somebody, and I'm ready to do the serious work, no matter if it's bad or good. This has to do with like women being insecure with themselves and kind of like taking the step back before things could even get better because they're afraid of falling in love and possibly getting hurt. So I'm going to take us along some of the things that might hurt a relationship when you do sabotage or make accusations. First thing first, I say, and I definitely believe in this, is when you have no trust at all in the partner. Like you just don't believe anything that they're telling you. I feel like that's definitely huge to have a good foundation in a relationship.
Uh, I would tend to agree, but I do think a level of mistrust in a relationship is healthy.
A little bit, maybe a healthy amount of jealousy.
Jealousy, but not mistrust, because if you do mistrust, like you might drive yourself crazy,
Yeah,
thinking like, your brain just constantly going.
I don't think necessarily. I think the issue props up when one person has absolute trust in the other, but the other one doesn't. The
yeah.
one that doesn't have that trust is far more apt to step out of the relationship, and the other person's the one that's trusting, trusting, trusting. They're the ones that are going to get hurt.
I could agree with that, but at the same time, like you have to. You could be a little bit jealous of your partner. You want to know that other people are attracted to your partner because instinctually you're going to want to, that's yours and that gives you pride. And that works for men and women, vice versa.
Yeah, Donovan talked about that a couple weeks ago, right here. That women
Yeah.
want to know that other women want their man.
But I don't want to know that I can't trust my woman when she leaves. And I'm sure she doesn't want to know that she can't trust me when I leave. So that's where I'm talking about trust.
I guess maybe I'm more of a trust and verify type of guy.
Well, I would say communication probably plays a role in that.
Yeah, of course, absolutely, absolutely. That's where communicating your expectations early on. We've talked about that a million times. That's where that comes into play. When you communicate those expectations early on, then that establishes a pattern that can eventually lead to more open, more trusting type of behavior.
So I'm going to take us on to our next point, and that was making assumptions. And you'll make preemptive assumptions about a person without even knowing the full story or the background of who they even might be. You're just making things up in your head.
We got Jay Blaze joining us in the YouTube chat. Guys, if you're on YouTube, go ahead and hit that like button. What's going on, Jay Blaze? Justin, give us an example of that.
So making assumptions in a relationship. So I'll use me as an example. I used to be a musician.
Yeah.
And I really don't have game, quote unquote. I'm just always naturally myself. And to a lot of people, that comes off that is my game. I guess some people would say I'm charismatic. Now, entering a new relationship, when females find out that I have female friends and that I'm very social, they will automatically assume that I'm able to step out of the relationship and that I'm not trustworthy.
I think most women do that. I think most women assume whenever you're talking or meeting another girl or you interact with another girl in any other way, they immediately assume that you are fucking them or that you have.
I guess you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't.
Pretty much.
I always agree with Joel though. Like that whole female friend thing, it was never for me. Like he does have these female friends, but like I never saw the point.
Yeah, no, I don't see the point in having female.
Yeah, and Ronnie knows that. Like, I'm pretty sure this is my best friend. I'm kind of built different from most other dudes. I don't, a lot of people will say that, but I mean, I feel like I am the exception to the rule in most cases. And a lot of women just happen to have trouble actually believing me in any level because of that.
So they have
Well,
problems trusting you.
It doesn't help that like I have a Harley and like my Instagram just looks a certain way. I just get classified as this untrustworthy fuckboy.
I think that's gonna happen though.
That
Like,
happens to
comes
me.
with the territory. But like I think it's on them to like pay attention to who they're pursuing. And like as that relationship evolves, just like pay attention to the things that they do, how they are with you, when they're not with you. Like learn the person.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I'm gonna bring us to our next point, unless you guys have something else to say on that.
Here, Jay Blaze, he's got a good comment here. He says women who are ran through will sabotage because they don't think they're good enough for a good man. He follows it up by saying women can lie to everyone, but never to themselves.
Seriously, I agree with you, Jay Blaze.
100%.
Also, we got TikTok over here. He made a comment on the IG live saying that some people are insecure and that trust goes a long way. and
And it is because you're a biker. He's absolutely 100% take that.
definitely because I'm a biker.
Yeah, we put up the Sons of Anarchy did us a real disservice. Hey guys, if you're watching on Instagram, go ahead and come over to the live YouTube. If you check my story, Justin, did you post it up on yours?
Yeah, I did.
Check out our stories. The live link is right there for you to click it, and just come over to YouTube and hit the like button and leave a comment.
Hey, TikTok, if you want to join in on the conversation, or Jay Blaze, if you guys want to join in on the conversation, shoot us up with a comment, and we'll shoot you a link if you want to come in.
Jay Blaze is watching the Cowboys game right now. I don't think he's going to be.
If you guys are watching on IG, as soon as we sign off, click the link that's in our story, and it'll bring you to YouTube Live and check it out.
Here's a good one. Cheaters will always think their partners cheat. So let me ask you this: are a lot of these behaviors reflective of the other person's personality?
I believe so, because the interesting thing that I've come across is like I almost feel like accusations that have been made against me have almost been mirrored.
Okay.
It's definitely interesting. It's definitely interesting.
I would say you have to take into account like every individual is different. Their upbringing was different.
Yeah.
Their relationships were different. You know, we're all unique in our own way. So it's like the amount of people that are in this world.
You can't expect to live up to everybody's standards.
No,
And
exactly.
people can't expect you to live up to their standards as well.
My whole thing is though, is like when you make that commitment of being in a relationship, it's like you're basically like committing to learning a lot and being open to who this person is off your initial, like, I guess, assumptions.
But you have to be open.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I will say also about trust. It also comes down to the person you're dating, right? So I meet a girl and I met her at the club, and she's she dresses provocatively everywhere she goes. Her Instagram is like the ones we've discussed here so many times, full of ass and tidbits, things like that. I'm far less apt to trust that woman. Let's say she lives by herself. I'm far less apt to trust her than I am a girl that say lives with her parents, has a modest Instagram. I've never seen her go to the club. I'm far more apt to trust somebody like that than I am the first one.
Absolutely. You take a look at their surroundings, like who they surround themselves with. Are they family oriented? Who their friends are?
Their friends will always tell you the true story.
Yeah.
Seriously.
But I feel like, a lot of the times too, like I have a lot of different friends that are into different things that I'm not necessarily into. And I'll get judged off of the things that they do when I'm not even like that.
But that right there, I think that's a key difference between men and women. Because men, we tend to have a lot of friends in a lot of different arenas. Women don't.
Mhm.
Women's friends are always almost exactly like they are.
I have like different groups of friends too. Like
Yeah.
they don't always all hang out with each other. So like depending on where I'm at, what I feel like doing,
Sure.
we'll call for like a different set of friends.
Seriously. I agree.
All right, what's the next point?
The next point was not only making accusations will ruin a relationship, but the next point would be disrespecting your partner. And I feel like this deals more with men, but when you belittle a man or you call him names or you're talking down and you're yelling and cursing, like as a man, as a mature man, I try and hold my composure for the most part, but I could only take so much disrespect, and I feel like we will hear you out on any issues that you have with us. But if you tend to disrespect us, you're only gonna make us turn off and become cold. And then at that point, you're telling us we're hot and cold, but you're coming at us with accusations and disrespect. It's a catch-22. You go in circles.
I think it goes back to what you guys have talked about previously on these podcasts about like it's a female going into her masculinity and like trying to poke her chest out. And it's like, bro, that's so unnecessary.
We want peace, not problems.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely right. Absolutely right. I'll also say it's a little bit of the indoctrination that mainstream media has put on women, where we watch commercials, we watch TV shows, sitcom. The man is always the dope.
Mm-hmm.
And
Always.
the one that's the comedic relief, quote unquote.
Yeah.
Jay Blaze says, if you meet let me bring it up. If you meet an IG thought at a supermarket, she'll act less thoughty than if you meet her on IG. Very true, Jay Blaze. But you'll be able to tell that thoughty behavior within 20 minutes of the first date. If you ask her out and take her out, you'll find out real quick what she's about.
Also, too, though, you got to like think about the women that go to college now, like, or women that went to college, like were they indoctrinated with like all this feminist stuff and
Oh
like,
yeah.
you know, that plays a big part in a
Those
lot of the way
girls
they
feel
act
like
too.
they don't need men at all.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
they
And
want to save the planet.
hey, college educated women are 90% inclined to file for divorce.
Yeah, 90% more inclined to file for divorce. 80% of divorces are started by women, and I guarantee you, 100% of those 80% has disrespected their man at some point.
And you know what it is too? I think us as men, we're more simplistic creatures. Like, I feel like women a lot of times complicate more things than they need to be. We just want to be like, I want to go to work, I want to come home, have a nice meal, relax with you. But they always have like another thing going, like, oh, we got to set up for this. And, if we don't start hitting those marks, things start to go bad.
What
Absolutely.
up, Jeremy?
I'll also say I think it goes a lot to our behavior as men. If we allow ourselves to be disrespected once, it's going to keep happening and it's going to keep happening and it's going to keep happening. And I put that up there with setting expectations. You got to let it be known that it's not okay from the very fucking start.
Absolutely.
And I'll curse a little bit here, but you can ask my girl right now. She's in the bedroom. I'll bring her out here. If she ever talks to me and I feel like it's out of line, the first thing I'll fucking say, watch your fucking tone with me.
Yeah.
Just like that, finger up and everything. I do not tolerate that shit.
Yeah, me neither. I won't.
They listen when it's one finger, but they listen more when it's four. No, I'm just playing.
Oh my god!
I'm just joking.
Here. He was kidding. He was kidding. And the IG live ended for some
I'm
reason.
kidding. I'm kidding.
The
I
IG live.
don't condone.
Oh, did it? Probably my
It happens.
it's all good.
Yep, all good. All right, let's keep it rolling here on YouTube. You are watching the J&J Dating Dynamics podcast, Andrew Tate's favorite new podcast, episode 23, Relationship Sabotage.
Got you. So, all right, we went through no trust, making assumptions, making accusations, disrespecting your partner, and my next point is telling a partner how they feel when you can't tell a person how they internally feel. When you tell a person, "Oh, I don't feel like you appreciate me," there's a difference between saying you don't feel like you are being appreciated and then you just saying you don't appreciate me. Like,
Yeah.
and to be honest, without knowing that and you just assuming things, you're just gonna ruin things because really you're just disregarding their feelings in a
Yes.
whole.
In your experience or from what you know, do you think these behaviors that sabotage a relationship, do you think they're overt or conscious, or do you think it's more subconscious? Like, do people think to themselves, I need to get out of this, this isn't working, and just start going at it? Or,
No, I think it's totally subconscious. I think it comes from their past dating experiences, from their scars, from their childhood, whether they felt abandoned by either their mother, their father, or any kind of loved ones, friends. It has to do, it could be from a divorce, it could be a lot of different things, and it all factors into their new relationship.
yeah. Jay Blaze says all movies show women arguing as strong as independent. Yeah, 100%. And it's all part of the narrative to get men and women to hate each other. I can see that.
I've been saying Jay Blaze, good point, because I keep saying it. Like, yes, we're talking about dating dynamics, but I think there's a bigger agenda that's being pushed with the whole, and we'll go into the feminist movement. I think there's a big push to separate the family unit as a whole.
The nuclear family.
Yeah.
I would tend to agree with
The more separated we are, the more we can be controlled, and our children can be indoctrinated. If
I mean,
we
that's
even
a
have
deep rabbit
children
hole to
anymore
go
at this
down.
point, because now men and women just hate each other to the point they can't even get together.
I agree.
Talk to my little hand.
Strong hand.
All right.
I can't help but play with it. Go ahead.
Next point I wanted to talk to about was bickering, constantly causing conflict and stress being disagreeable and problematic, always searching for something wrong and causing unnecessary drama will always damage a relationship.
I can agree with that 100%.
I mean, guys, think about it.
Yeah.
When we are getting conflict coming towards us, if we're in the wrong, if you're a stand-up guy and you're a real man, you will own up to what you're doing wrong.
Absolutely.
And you will understand and you will adjust your behaviors accordingly. And you should apologize. I mean, for the most part.
And I think every man, at least I think every man who's been in a committed long-term relationship has been through this. I can definitely speak to it from my marriage. There comes a time where you've been nagged at and yelled at so much that you think to yourself, I can't do anything right.
Yeah.
So you
Mhm.
kind of shut down. I think a lot of men have been there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think those are the things that cause damage to a relationship because, like I said, if you have a valid point, a man will admit it. But if you're constantly bickering for things that aren't valid or things that aren't true and you're just making things up, it's going to cause your man to go cold.
A
I'm
strong
sorry.
man will admit it. A weak man will try to fight it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I think that goes on up to like
That could
how
go
you're
both ways.
raised too. Like, you know, my father as a young child, like he would always tell me, like, admit when you're wrong, you know what I mean? There's no shame in apologizing, like, you know, own up to your mistakes.
Absolutely.
And that's part of being a man. Like,
And I think that goes into growing up with a father too.
yeah.
I mean, I'm not going to paint with too broad a brush, but I think if you were raised by a single mother or by a single mother, you're far more apt to act like a woman in those situations because
You
you've
know,
learned
it's
how to do it.
it's very weird that you say that because me and Ronnie are best friends, right?
Mhm.
And we grew up totally different. I grew up with a single mother, and Ronnie grew
With a
up
single
with a
father.
single father. But I just read a statistic recently that says a child needs both children. I mean, a child needs both parents to come up with a good upbringing.
Absolutely.
Should it be with a single parent, the child would be better off coming up with the father.
Absolutely.
I agree 100%.
And I
Uh,
just found that out recently. I thought it was a pretty interesting theory
Yeah, but
because I could see me and him are actually living proof. Like there's a lot of traits that I have within me that are able to see things from the feminine side. And like I grew up in a family full of women,
Sure.
which is it's weird. It's allowed me to dissect women in a way that other men can't.
Okay.
Pretty interesting.
Yeah, I agree.
Jay Blaze says we need sitcoms like Fresh Prince, Family Matters, or Growing Pains, where a man is a strong leader.
Facts.
100%.
Yeah, we don't see those anymore at all, really.
We need Carl Winslow.
Uncle Phil,
Uncle Phil. Uncle
only
Phil.
father that I ever knew.
So, next point, fellas, overthinking.
Oh, that's the big one right there.
Overthinking
I think we're both guilty of this, genders.
Overthinking will cause you to create scenarios that don't even exist, and it could cause fear and withdraw from the relationship.
Yep.
You
Absolutely.
spend too much time in your own head is never a good thing. I mean, whether you're in a relationship or not.
Yeah, you're
it's
gonna
a-
attract
It's
what
a
you
bad
feel.
neighborhood to stay in. You know, I think it's helpful to vent, like when you have friends and stuff. You get different perspectives and stuff like that before you start. Because what happens is you end up assuming things, and then you go right into one of your other bullet points.
Seriously.
Yeah, the overthinking thing, I think it actually leads probably into all the others because people tend to get in a pattern where they'll overthink things to such a degree to where when
They'll
it comes
fabricate things.
yeah, they'll fabricate. Yeah, that's all it is. You come up with a million different scenarios in your head, and it gets to a point to where you think to yourself, if I bring this up, it's gonna sound stupid.
It could also, spill out into just your regular life too. Like you wind up becoming like a hypochondriac over things.
Yeah. Yeah. Not necessarily as far as medicine's concerned, but you take your boss's comments and you start overthinking those. And
Oh, I'm not a good employee, or like it could be so many different things. But especially in a relationship, it could definitely be
very
detrimental.
absolutely very
It hasn't been easy being in a relationship for 7.5 years, but it's like you really have to think of the big picture and like, what do you really want out of this? And is this the person that you want to love forever? I grew up with grandparents. They were married like 65 years before they had passed, and I'm like, did they get along all the time? Absolutely not. But they know, listen, I love you more than anything, you love me more than anything. Let's not let the bullshit get in between it.
Right. Yeah.
And it was a simpler time too. I think that was,
Yeah,
which was a lot easier on life. Like, when you graduated high school back in the 50s, you really didn't keep in touch with too many people. Now
People
we're
were marrying their high school sweethearts.
Yeah, you marry a high school sweetheart, and then you only keep in touch with so many people. Like now, you want to keep in touch with the world. It's just too much.
Yeah, I think we're just over like saturated with everything in every aspect of life compared to back in the day when I think a lot of men still fantasize about that old school traditional love. We want that
Simplicity as
we
well.
want to be a man, we want to play our role, we want to have a family.
Yeah, but do we get caught in a vicious cycle when we keep chasing that and we realize it no longer exists?
Absolutely.
I think it can still exist though, to a certain
Yeah, but
degree.
it's very rare. Very.
Yeah.
Hey,
I
women are the
refuse to adapt
gatekeepers,
with the
man.
times.
If they demand marriage, we're gonna end up having to marry women on a whole to get what we want. But if women
say that one more time.
it's so easy for men to go out and get laid these days.
I disagree. No. Whoa. No.
What?
Bro, if you take 100% of men.
No. I know where you're going. I'm just saying compared to, let's say, maybe 10 15 years ago.
Okay, so let's assume you're a 20%er at least. Yeah, it's way easier to get anything.
From MySpace to
But
Instagram.
I'm saying women require less commitment for you to get some.
Oh, absolutely. 100%.
That's what I'm saying. So if women would decide to take back their right as gatekeepers and demand marriage from men, things could change. But it's both of us. We're wrong on both ends, and we could speak on multiple points. But
what do you think? What do you think of Jay Blaze's comment right here?
what was that?
Say no to marriage, give them a ring and a ceremony, and draw up your own contract.
I absolutely agree with Jay Blaze on that. 100%.
I do too.
I'm so down for the ceremony, for the ring, but why does the government need to be involved? That's like, there's no benefit for a man doing that.
I mean, I think in some states, if you date a girl for more than a certain amount of time, you're legally bound to them.
Some states have what's called common law marriage.
Yeah, I think New Jersey, I think
PA, maybe.
Florida, the
7 years.
You've been living together for a certain amount of time. I think it's 7 years is the norm that you're considered married.
I know my union insurance don't go by that.
Nope.
So the next point, fellas, I want to get into is like, being unhealed and going into a relationship. What's going to happen is you're going to associate good feelings that start to happen as fear and doubt, because you're going to associate those fears with having your heart broken and what happened last time you were in love. Instead of just going with the flow and just like actually falling in love with somebody, you're going to question everything and you're going to be scared to commit because you don't want to get hurt.
Yeah, and I think that actually plays into the very early stages of dating, where you'll go out on the first date, and we've talked about this before, but you feel like you're immediately being interviewed for like a high-level CEO position.
Yeah.
That's
And people will pull the plug before the relationship could even take off. It's like, and I think they do so to protect themselves. And like I said, it could be due to fear, like, of abandonment. So, like I said, your mind will try and find reason to make you run. So you'll pick someone apart piece by piece.
But if you have fear of abandonment, like, why would you self-sabotage that relationship? Because then you're going to be abandoned again.
Because they want to pull the plug before.
They want to be in control. They want to be the ones to lead before they get left.
But also, they're cutting you off before you could hurt them in their heart
Yeah.
before they're actually attached.
Absolutely. We are at 30 minutes. This is the J&J Dating Dynamics podcast, Andrew Tate's favorite new podcast. I am Jay. That guy over there is Jay. And we got our special guest, Ronnie, here today. This is
Yes, buddy.
episode 23. We're talking about relationship sabotage. Justin, what about these videos? We're going to get to them?
Yeah, we're gonna get to the videos in a second. I
Right.
just wanted to say a couple more things, and I did want to say, what happened.
I'm laughing at Jay Blaze's comments in the chat. He says, I ask odd questions usually. And he says, what's your favorite Cat in the Hat character or superpower would you want? Okay. What's that going to tell you?
My favorite cat in the hat.
Like he's saying that's what he would ask on a first date.
Make it fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Honestly, I mean, I remember when I first met my girl, I don't even know if they were considered dates really. Like we really just started hanging out.
Yeah.
We hung out for a while
Happened
before we even
naturally.
started dating, and I'm grateful for the way that happened.
Oh, good. Good. Excellent.
I'm glad I'm not trying to find love in today's society.
Yeah,
I mean,
for real.
Shit show. I'm telling you.
It
Especially
is
out here
a
in
shit
Miami
show.
streets.
It is a shit show. But
of little substance.
another point I wanted to make is that when you do sabotage a relationship or pick apart your partner and disrespect them, like what happens is you could be judging the person that's meant for you, like literally your ideal partner, and you're just making the worst in your head, and you could be pushing the one away from you.
Sure.
But I did have a couple tips for how to change this, and this is hard, but I recommended insight, and like that's looking into your own behaviors, and don't expect your partner to know what your expectations are or what you're thinking, or also think, are your expectations even realistic?
Are your deal breakers realistic?
honestly, that's a good one though, because I feel like sometimes they put impossible expectations, knowing like nobody's gonna hit these marks. So when you don't hit them, they have like an argument there with their, you not meeting their expectations that nobody in reality could have
seriously.
accomplished.
Jay Blaze clarifies. He says, if you ask which sitcom dad would you most want, it's an easy way to figure out what relationship she has with her father. That's
Ooh,
that's
I
good.
like that. That's
That's
good.
That's
Damn,
good.
this guy's good. You should have him on.
Yeah, Jay Blaze has got game. I've seen him, and he's actually one of Donovan's most loyal listeners. So I've interacted with him quite a bit. He's very
Carl Winslow. My answer is Carl Winslow.
Mine was Al Bundy.
He's definitely turned out like Bud.
That's funny. That's good.
My
And you
last
turned out
tip.
like Peggy. No.
My last tip was, work together as a team. Think, do you really see each other together long term?
Yeah.
Be vulnerable with each other. Talk things out without escalating. And if you feel things escalating, put it on ice. End the conversation right there and come back to it when you guys cool off.
Cooler heads will prevail.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, they have prevented world wars. So.
Yeah. But moving forward, I gave Joelle a bunch of videos that I want to go over and just kind of react to.
So let's see. This is the first one you sent me. It's Why Do We Sabotage? It's a TED Talk by Raquel Peel. Let me bring it up. It's what is it, about 3 minutes long?
Yeah, just hit them at those exact timestamps and we should be good.
Yeah. Okay, let me bring it up here. Hang on.
Yes, sir.
Oh, that's not one.
Yeah, so guys, these are just a couple videos that I found on YouTube that basically deal with the same topic. Let's get into it.
All right, here we go. And this is the timestamp where you wanted it. So
Yep.
Why people sabotage love. So what I'd like to do today is to walk you through some of the responses from people in my study. When asked to explain why they can't maintain successful long-term relationship, this is what my participants have said. Take this one, female participant, age 25. I'm always afraid it's not going to work or I'm going to get hurt. Another example, this male participant, age 31. I have a fear of getting hurt by being the one broken up with.
Yeah, so
Now,
sometimes people will try and pull the plug before you can.
Yeah, I can see that.
we know that people who are motivated to self protect tend to have difficulties with self esteem. Self esteem is how we perceive ourselves and our own self worth. But this concept is highly validated by social interactions. Let me show you another example. This female participant, age 34. I avoid people who like me. I think there is something wrong with them.
Because that goes back to like a primordial behavior of the more you show interest in somebody, the more you're pushing them away.
Yeah.
People with self esteem difficulties will self sabotage because they experience threat. Again, they do it to protect themselves. So, overall, self saboteurs hold insecure views of themselves, others, and relationships. And this is usually due to having had difficult relationships in the past growing up, say with their parents, peers, or romantic partners. This is really tough to escape. And for self saboteurs, this is even harder. I have another example. Male participant, age 35. My high expectations of people holds me back from maintaining a successful relationship.
That goes back to the point we were just talking about right there. Like,
Which one?
it just said it. My high expectations of people, that it's limiting.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like that probably, I think that applies more to women. Um,
Yeah,
yeah.
I would agree.
Talk about, yeah, they always want a guy that's 6 foot, $100,000 a year, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, they're like unrealistic expectations.
What they have it on Fresh and Fit? They call it women's delusion calculator.
Yeah,
That's what
yeah,
it
I've
is,
seen that.
delusion, though. Like,
A lot of it is delusion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, let me tell you, the way people choose to self sabotage will be uniquely tailored by their past experiences. But no matter how unique, their journey is often met with a twist of fate. People who regularly self sabotage will find it becomes a self fulfilling prophecy. So they tell themselves they cannot do a task. Their claims will translate their performance into real outcomes. It's like staring into a crystal ball, knowing exactly what's going to happen.
Or so they think.
I have more examples. Female participant, age 25. I put myself in relationships which are doomed to fail from the start, as I have a fear of being abandoned.
Is it me or that's a very nonsensical
I
statement?
was just gonna say it doesn't even make
It
sense. Really, like
really,
it's like an oxymoron.
Yeah, it really is.
it really is. But
Where's the mental stability here, though? Like, seriously,
Sure,
though,
yeah,
like, are you that weak minded and like it just seems very weak, to be honest.
yeah, 100%.
want to bring us to our next clip?
Yep. Let me go over here. All right. This one had like 3 timestamps, so just bear with me here.
Yep. First one's at 2:37.
I'm at the first one already.
Okay.
So here we go.
Prevent us from moving forward. So, one of the number one signs of someone who is self sabotaging themselves is the person that overthinks. So, overthinking is a self sabotaging tactic that we use in an attempt to try to avoid pain. So, if I can overthink a situation and I can try to play out every scenario, that way I can pick the best scenario that will cause me the least amount of pain and the most pleasure, then everything will be peachy keen and life will be great. What ends up happening when we overthink is we actually create scenarios of situations that aren't even in existence. They're not even happening yet. So now we're creating scenarios of things that cause us more fear than they do, the momentum and the confidence to believe that something's going to happen for us, right? So when we're overthinking, we're not really overthinking scenarios that are joyous ones and where everything works out for us and this is really going to happen, and I'm fighting through all that fear and everything like that. When we're overthinking, we're coming from the insecurity, we're coming from lack, we're coming from worry, we're coming from fear, and we create scenarios that aren't really even happening, and which cause us to feel debilitated, to not take action towards the things that we really want in our lives. So now, if I'm prone to overthinking, that means that I obsessively think about certain scenarios. And when I do this, what ends up happening is I'm obsessively thinking about my partner and all the ways that this could go wrong, and maybe just starting to like nitpick at my partner and examine them in all of these ways that become obsessive. And so what ends up happening is, in my mind, because of these scenarios, I'm causing more fear, and I'm not wanting to be around this person. I'm not wanting to be in this relationship.
To me, right there, that leads someone directly into being that person that's constantly nagging the other one.
Seriously, I mean, I've gone through it. Trust me,
What-
it's not fun.
What happens is, though, you wind up creating the situations that you were just fearing, and then pointing your finger and say, "I knew this was going to happen."
Yeah, and it's not even happening.
Yeah.
That's it. That was the comment of the night, Rodney. Right there. That was perfect. All right, let's keep it going.
Relationship, because I'm linking these scenarios that are playing in my mind that I'm overthinking. These scenarios now become so real because I've given it so much attention and energy that I have pretty much laid out the foundation of what I think is going to happen. And what ends up happening is your biggest fears become your reality. Now, I know what
Yeah,
most
pretty much.
Yep, that's the end of the first clip. Anything to say on that, Justin? That was 100, I think.
She said it perfect. I mean, that's why I found that today, and I was just like, this is perfect.
All right.
Every little clip that I found tonight, it just resonates with why I even brought this topic up.
But now they're manifesting the bad scenarios instead of wasting all your time and manifesting like a good scenario or a good outcome to the relationship. It's like you put all that energy into these negative situations.
Yeah, they don't realize, like, you're literally pouring a cup of poison into the relationship and expecting it to like come out good. Like, you don't understand, when you shut a man down, we're going to act a certain way towards you, and then you're not going to like how we're treating you, and you're going to think we're not interested anymore, and then it just becomes a snowball effect.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's a beautiful way to describe it. It's a snowball effect. All right, here we go with the next one.
yourself. Next thing that we do that really contributes to self-sabotaging behavior is unhealed wounds. So if you have unhealed wounds and you're just walking around living life, then you're going to create these fear-based scenarios. Now, because like I said earlier, the ego wants to keep you safe because you've been through pain before. And so now it's saying, okay, a relationship equals pain, or getting too close to someone equals pain, or being vulnerable with someone equals pain. It's going to do a few things to kind of manipulate you, to make you feel like, okay, yeah, it's this relationship, it's this person, it's just not right for you, when it's really not the person or the relationship. It's the self-sabotaging behavior that your ego is trying to do. So one of the first things is picking fights. So when we start picking
Hate
fights
this.
with our partner, there's an underlying issue that's going on there, and it's usually within yourself. So when we start kind of nitpicking at each other, and all of a sudden this tiny little pebble of a discussion now turns into a full-blown argument and like a fight where we're not talking for days or anything like
It's
that.
so
and you're like,
annoying.
what were we even fighting about? When that stuff starts to happen, what's going on is possibly one or both people have an unhealed wound that's inside of them, and that wound is coming to the surface. And that wound, these two wounds are fighting each other now, because it's not about the little pebble that we're arguing about. It's the bigger underlying issue that sometimes both people don't even know actually exists, because they're not willing to go deep within their own selves to find out what's really going on inside of me that I'm nitpicking with this person and
Bro,
going back.
that is one of the most annoying things that you can do to your partner.
Absolutely. Nitpicking behaviors.
Like, I have a mother. I grew up with my parents. Enough nitpicking my behaviors.
It's death by 1,000 paper cuts. Like, it's just
Exactly
like
what it is. You're absolutely right.
you're gonna get the guy to just lose his shit and explode, and then it's gonna be like, wow, you're really aggressive.
Yeah, that the unhealed wounds mean I can't pair bond due to chance.
Listen, regardless though, we all have unhealed wounds. I mean, life in general is painful. So,
Especially at our age, when you're past your mid 30s, everybody's gonna have some baggage.
but the thing is too is like if you're with somebody 24/7, whether it was like your brother growing up, if you guys shared a room together, you're gonna fight. If you're with your partner all day, you're gonna fight.
Yep.
But it's like, are these significant fights?
Pick
You
your
know,
battles
yeah.
wisely.
Yep. 100%.
Because in reality, in the grand scheme of things, they're usually, like she said, like pebbles. Like they're just the dumbest things.
Seriously. Want to go to the next part of the video? It's at 11:20.
I got it right here.
Yep.
And when we're so scared of the feeling of possibly getting in this relationship and maybe going through some of the heartbreak and pain that we have once experienced, again, it's going to debilitate us. It's going to want us to put a pause on moving forward in a relationship. This is where sometimes the person doesn't want to be with their partner as much. They want to be with their friends, or they're not planning, fun things to do with their partner anymore. They're just not putting the time and the effort into this relationship. This comes after we're picking fights with them, after we start picking at them and all their flaws and nitpicking so much that we're like, is this person right for me? Can I deal with this person? So because we're playing all of these
Yeah, I mean,
fear-based stories,
to speak to that point right there, seriously, like that says it perfectly. When you are nitpicking and causing me stress, I'm not going to do these little romantic gestures that I was once doing. I'm not going to want to spend time with you. I'm going to go want to spend time with my friends, and I'm going to want to go do other things. And I feel like sometimes our partners will overlook that they have a direct effect on the way we feel and the way we treat them.
And I 100% agree with Jay Blaze on this one. This is why men go for younger women.
I think that could be an issue as well. Though. I would
Oh, yeah,
assume. I would assume.
I think it's an issue in its whole, but I know the reason why we go for younger women, and that's
We
because
can mold
younger
them
women
easier.
have been through less. They're more malleable. We can show them life. We can show them life experiences.
We can be a leader to them, and we want to be a leader in the relationship.
Exactly.
All right, let's finish this one up.
I think that was good for that one, actually.
All right, let's move on to the next one then.
Yep.
Next one is by Matthew Hussey.
Oh, there was one more, actually.
Not on that one. I mean, that one went on for another minute or so.
No, there was the 4-minute video.
Oh, yeah, here it is. All right. This one here?
Yeah.
All right, here we go.
Hi everyone, thank you for joining my channel. My name is Stephanie and welcome to my channel, Love, Learn, Bloom. Today's video is going to be a quick one and it's about assumptions. Assuming in relationships can lead to tension, conflicts, and distance between you and the other person. So in order to avoid that, it's always good to clarify, to ask for an explanation, to have a conversation about your assumption. Assuming is basically accepting something as true without verification, with no proof of it being true. All your thoughts based on that assumption will influence your behavior. And this is where you're going to be distant with the person, you're going to be uncomfortable around the person only because of one assumption that you did not check. So I encourage everyone, whenever you have an assumption, even if you're uncomfortable addressing it, even if you're uncomfortable approaching the person about it because you don't want to seem a certain way, you don't want to, you don't know how the person is going to react. But it's better to clarify an assumption than to believe that assumption with no proof of it being
Absolutely.
and that leading to the relationship changing because you did not want to seem a certain way or you did not want to confront the person. You don't have to be aggressive. You don't have to be rude when you're approaching the person. You can just, with kindness and with respect, via a light-hearted conversation with good intention, good vibes, you can go to the person and say, "Oh, I've noticed this, and I just want to make sure what is what. I want to verify whether it's true, or I read this somewhere and I'm not sure what it meant. What did you mean by that? Or when you said this, instead of assuming something and then letting that affect you because you are afraid or you're uncomfortable to clarify with the person, it's always better to go clarify with the person.
Absolutely.
The tone is important though. Like,
No, that tone is imperfect. Like
Tone
seriously
is everything.
important.
Absolutely.
Like I said, I've been having some a discussion with females, and you know, it's gotten to a point where we're talking, and then there's like a little jab thrown in there at me, and now you're talking about my character, and now you're honestly getting me to a point where you're trying to elevate this into an argument. And I'll try and resist as much as possible, but if you keep coming in with disrespect, I'm not going to want to hear and understand you. So, like she's saying, don't make assumptions, clarify the situation, don't make up scenarios that aren't real.
Yep.
Want to go to that next video with Matthew Hussey?
We're done with this one?
Yeah.
All right. Matthew Hussey. That's not Matthew Hussey. This is Matthew Hussey.
This is a short one. It's like a minute long. I just wanted to get this one point he made here.
Yeah, let me look at the timestamp real quick.
148.
Yep, got it. All right, here we go.
So when someone tells us they want to leave, that they're considering leaving, or that they've made their mind up,
Yep.
there are two things to consider. Number one, they're leaving because they're not good at dealing with tough times in a relationship. Maybe you are having an argument, maybe you are having a difference of opinion, but that doesn't have to be relationship ending. If someone is leaving over something that could be saved, it may be a reflection of the fact that they're not the type to go through difficult times with you.
Hang on, because there I will say whether or not it can be saved is wholly subjective.
Absolutely.
That depends on how each person looks at it.
Seriously. Yeah.
And that's important to do now. I think it's a good thing for someone to leave now if they don't have staying power, because that many years could have saved you. You don't want someone 5 years from now leaving because that's the first time you had a difficult situation or conversation. In that sense, this year has been.
That was it.
Yeah. I don't know how you guys feel about that one, but that's real.
Yeah, that was real. That's
I'd rather go through it sooner than later, because I've made the mistake in the past and just I felt like I painted a picture of the light at the end of the road, and it was there for me, but it wasn't there for my partner.
Well, purely off of just numbers and like percentage wise, I guess men have more of a staying power than women do,
Yeah.
and will
women
tolerate
get dealt
more.
with
Yeah,
We got the stats to prove
and
it.
I think that just comes with like just the male toughness of like, you know, we could get through a lot of things, you know, whether it be physical or emotional. Like a lot of women will be upset with a man if he doesn't show enough motion.
Yeah.
But they'll also be upset with him if he shows too much emotion. It's like,
We're taught as men to persevere. So any problems that come along, we're going to fight through it, and we're going to try and fix it, because that's what we biologically do as men. We see a problem and we try and fix it.
but also, who wants somebody that's been in relationship after relationship after relationship? It's like when I go back to like my grandparents, like that longevity stamp is like something that I think a lot of men want for the most part. Like I want to be able to say I've been with my significant other for 20, 30, 40
Yeah.
years. Like, you know, who wants to just keep on getting hurt after hurt? Because
Seriously,
then that
wasting
winds up
time.
breaking down a person too and changing the person inevitably.
I got one last clip.
Yep. Bring it up right now. Here we go.
And you could stop it whenever you feel it's right. He's got 3 points.
All right, let's go. It's a clear video.
Can you spray the guy?
Spray him?
Is that what you were asking?
What are you talking about?
Never mind.
Our relationship capacity. I know the first one is the first assumption that we make that is not serving us is that we automatically know people's motives. We not only know what they did, but we know the motive behind it. And that's very dangerous, because once you assume you know someone's motive, you allow the enemy to create a story and a narrative and a trail of events that detach you from reality and keep you from really assessing with the real problems at hand. Another bad assumption that we make is that our discernment is 100% all the time spot on. So if we make a perspective on somebody, we automatically think that that is right on. We have a perspective on somebody's motives, on their behavior, on their background. You know, one of the things I learned in pastoral ministry is that you don't know people's story. And when you really know people's story, it really changes and it confronts what we often call discernment. And it really sobers us to what's really going on in people's lives. The third assumption that we make that's very hindering and dangerous is that people can satisfy 100% of our needs, that somebody can satisfy the inner vacuum that we carry in our hearts. You know, we all have the need for relationship. And many of us, all of us to some degree, have areas that have not been filled. The problem is if we go into a relationship with this high expectation that that person has to be something for us, at some point they will disappoint.
Yeah. So,
some
like,
area.
seriously,
Yep, 100%.
I think that's what we were talking about before, and I agree with that. Like, you can't expect everybody to meet every single one of your expectations. It's just not possible.
I mean, that's why I think you have to like appreciate, you know, just certain small things, like have more of a simplistic outlook on the relationship. Don't expect like the world from a person that you're not even willing to have yourself, you know, accomplish.
Seriously.
Nice.
They will let you down. And it's in those times that we often rise up and our brokenness comes back and begins to attack them. So where are you making these assumptions in your own relationships? Where are
I think we're good
you
there.
feeling?
All right.
But yeah,
I think we all have expectations, though, to a certain degree. It's
Yeah.
you have to you have to compromise, and not everybody's gonna have exactly what you're looking for. And you want somebody that can mostly check all your boxes. You're not gonna find everything you're looking for.
You gotta have somebody that checks as many boxes as possible.
yeah, but I mean, you're never gonna have a successful relationship if you're not willing to compromise.
Yeah.
You know, some people just refuse to compromise at all,
Seriously.
and it just becomes the relationship is like a self. It's just about yourself, like the one person. You have to compromise. It'll never work, and then you'll just be disappointed by everybody.
I'm almost reluctant to say this, but I think you got to let go of some of those deal breakers that you have.
Yeah.
But the ones you let go of have to be the ones that you are willing to work with that person toward resolving, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
I agree.
like a team.
I agree.
Teamwork make the dream work.
Hey, we're getting to that point.
Just to give you an example, if a deal breaker is a guy that smokes, but he's expressed the willingness or the want to quit, maybe your deal breaker is I'll never be with a man that smokes. Maybe you get with that man and you help him, for example.
Yeah, and we know women will be the strongest thing to motivate us.
Yeah, absolutely.
Nothing motivates a man like simplicity.
And nothing gets him to clean his house faster.
Amen. That's true. Yeah. All right. Good stuff, Justin. What else you got?
That's it for tonight. I think we've made our point. We're getting close to that hour.
Yeah, we are. Guys, if you're on YouTube watching and you haven't yet hit the like button, please hit the like button. If you like this kind of type of content, please go ahead and subscribe. This is Andrew Tate's favorite new podcast, buddy. FYI. All right. So, Ronnie, final thoughts.
Final thoughts. I don't know. Go ahead. You go.
My final thoughts are: don't make assumptions in relationship. You know, talk to the person, respect the person, and get through things as a team. If you intend on having a relationship, because you never know, you could be pushing the one away from you.
Okay. You get a lot more bees with honey. That's my final thoughts.
Jay Blaze has a final thought too. Ladies, don't get ran through. 100%. 100%. I can second that.
I mean, that's a fact.
My final thought is we talked about a lot of behaviors here tonight, but I think the biggest one that leads to all of the other ones is overthinking. Don't overthink things. It's
Yeah.
the most unhealthy thing you can do for a relationship or in life, really.
Seriously, go with the flow.
Yeah.
Look,
That's good.
Be like water.
No,
Fine.
but be a friend to your partner. You know what I mean? Like, if me and Justin are having an issue, God knows we've had many of them. But like, we'll cool down, come back, and then express like whatever it is, whatever situation it is that we're going through. That's my best friend, and I think as in a relationship, that's how you should sort of like treat your relationship.
I remember my first podcast.
Yeah,
And you thought it was me.
Yeah, Joel forgot to turn his phone off.
it was me. It's not my phone, it's my computer. Anyway, guys, we're going to go ahead and sign off of here. Ronnie, thank you very, very much for joining us. You're always welcome.
I appreciate it. I'll be back.
All right. Appreciate it.
Ronnie's got a topic. I don't know if he wanted to discuss it.
Yeah, actually, this can lead us nicely either next week or the week after. This is going to be our topic. Ronnie, why don't you give us a rundown real quick?
Yeah, appreciation. Who appreciates more in the relationship, you know?
Is that a men versus women driven
Men
discussion?
versus women, yeah, exactly.
Who's more appreciative, men or women? I like that.
Yeah.
All right. We are going to talk about that either next week or the week after. But for now, that does it. Thank you all for watching. This is J&J signing off.